Hello again. Welcome to the channel. If you don't know me, I'm Denny, Principal Buyers Agent at Properties Deal Buyers Agency. Today I'm going to small discussion about whether you should still be buying properties when interest rates are going up. Now, everyone knows that interest rates are going up. The repayment cost or monthly repayment has surely gone up. Now, there are several property investors who are getting worried. There are several people who are planning to buy properties, putting aside their plan because the interest rates is going up. Now, there is all over information in the social media. There's a lot of information in the media, in the mainstream news, that since the interest rates are going up, the property prices are going to crash and it's going to be disaster. Now, in this situation, a everyday Australian or everyday person who is living with his paycheck obviously will get worried because he is not sure of the future. Now, we need to put into perspective what is interest rate rise, why is it necessary, what has interest rate rise done in the past to the property prices, and how long is this interest rate rise going to go? Is it a permanent thing? What if it stays permanently high? What is your prospect of buying a property, or is property buying a worthwhile investment at all? So this is a short video. This is going to be around 10 to 15 minutes, I suppose. Let's see how things go. Before I start, let me disclaim certain things. I'm not a financial planner, I'm not an accountant, I'm a licensed real estate licensed buyer's agent. I can advise you as to in regards to property buying. I'm not authorized to give you any financial or tax or accountancy advice. If you need any of those advice, please consult the respective professionals. I'm not a mortgage broker and I cannot officially give you any instructions related to mortgage or its products. Uh, Back to the topic. Interest rate rise. It is going to go up again. In the month of October, we're expecting another 0.5 of a rise of interest rates. Now, interest rate rise was really necessary because the inflation was going to go out of control. The inflation went up to a limit of 7% in the month of August, and it's dropped to 6.8 during the month of August. So you can see that the inflation rate was to a certain extent controlled because of the interest rate rise that they were doing over the last couple of months. So there are indications that the inflation rate is slowing down, or the inflation rate is slowly going to come down. Now, that is a good news. The interest rates has raised, but it hasn't raised up normally high. It has come to the normalcy. You remember that pre-COVID and years before COVID, the interest rates were very low. Experts say that interest rate has just come back to its normalcy. So this is normal. Prior to COVID, many years prior to COVID, the interest rates were very low, which was not a normal thing, which is not a normal phenomena. 10, 15, 20 years ago, if you don't know, or if there is older generation watching me, the interest rates used to be 12%, 15%, so and so. So we need to understand what happened in the past when the interest rates went up. So, interesting thing is that in the past, when interest rates were 10%, 15%, and the interest rates were increased further from that highest point to even further, the property prices had interestingly risen in value. So that means that interest rate rise did not cause the property price to drop. That's the history, that's the past. In today's situation, interest rate rise has surely brought property prices down, no doubt. But then, is that something that is going to be permanently going to reduce? How far and how fast and how far is the property prices going to drop? These have to be reasoned and thought with perspective of what could and what had happened in the past. We cannot isolate just the interest rate rise and predict that what is happening today is going to happen in future. So only when you put all the pieces of the puzzle together, the puzzle from the past, the puzzle from the present, and a piece from what other factors are currently happening in Australia, then you get a better picture of what interest rate rise is most probably or most likely going to cause here in property investment field. Let me tell you what is happening today. Interest rate is close to 5%. I mean, borrowing capacity of borrowing rate from a bank is around 5%. Everyone agrees that it is too much. Now, there are certain other factors that is involved in this. Example, I already mentioned to you interest rate rise in the past has actually made the property prices to go up. But today the interest rate is going up and the property prices are going down. Now that is a reality. Now why is it going down? You know that during the pandemic there was an artificial property boom. People could borrow money very easy. The interest rate, the cash rate had almost reached zero, and there was also a discussion of whether the cash rate should be minus minus 1, minus 2. If you don't understand minus means if you borrow money from the bank at a minus interest rate, that means the bank will give you extra money for the amount you borrow. That means if you borrow $100,000 and the interest rate is minus 1, then the bank will pay you 1% interest for the amount that you have borrowed. For $100,000, you get 1% interest every year from the bank for you because you have borrowed money. So that was the stage during pandemic. That was going to happen but didn't happen. Before that, things got better and interest rates starts going up. Now interest rates were too low, below 2%. People could easily borrow. People with low income could borrow money to buy a property. Now during this time, people also put their money into unwanted things. Bought a car. There was a huge boom to buy new cars. There were huge money put also to buy properties. Now the banks were very laxed in assessing the serviceability of a person to buy a property. So there were so many people who bought property without even assessing their own situation, whether they can sustain this property when the interest rate goes up. So there were people who had bought properties to the maximum, to the brim. Today when the interest rates is going up, such people who have bought the wrong property at the wrong location at the wrong price are struggling. So if you don't understand the property cycle, that there's an upward and a downward and an upward and a downward trend in property markets, and if the property buyer hasn't understood and has brought the property at the very peak, and when the property prices are starting to go down and when the interest rate is going up, they do not have even enough income to repay the loan, and also the property prices is dropping, they're frustrated. There is a panic selling happening that could get worse. Let me tell you, there was a panic buying happening during pandemic. There is a potential for panic selling. Now let me come to the point, but that's not something that we have to be worried about, because I'm going to add some more good point to it. The rental market is struggling. People are not able to find enough of rental properties to live in. The vacancy rate is below 1% all over Australia. If you don't understand vacancy rate, 2% is neutral. The demand and the supply is equal. Anything below 2% is high demand, low supply. Any vacancy rate above 2% is less demand, more supply. Now currently the vacancy rate all over Australia, in most part of Australia, is below 1%. There are suburbs that are really struggling at below 0.5%. That means there's a huge demand for rental properties. So people wanting to live in a house is asking to, or is in demand. Now in this situation, property prices are going down. Because there is increased rental demand, the rental prices are going up. So this is a unique situation. Rental prices are going up. There's a short supply of properties all over Australia. And then on top of this lack of properties, there is immigration happening. There is around 80,000 people going to come to Australia, for example, in a year. In 2022-23, imagine 100,000 people are going to come. So 100,000 is the immigration number. These 100,000 people come with families, and this 100,000 people have to live in a house, and they need. So these two factors or several factors are going to come together, and it's going to bring a property boom that you have seen during the pandemic. You need to take important, careful, strategic steps to buy a property today. It is possible. Banks are still lending money. If you're eligible, you will get it, and it depends on your risk profile, your income, your expenses, that I, as a buyer's agent, sit with you, plan out a strategy. I talk to your accountant, I talk to a mortgage broker that specializes in investment property. There are several ways that you can invest in property. It is with your own money, it can be with your superannuation. There are several means to get through this difficult situation. Please contact us, seek me. You can have a free 15 minutes chat to see whether you are currently in a situation to buy any property, or if I can help you. If I can help you, how can we go forward? How is it more possible to make profits in the next 18 to 24 months? Signing off, this is Denny from Property Zeal. Log on to our website propertyzeal.com.au, or contact me on email info@propertyzeal.com.au. See you then. Bye.